Welcome to another edition, a very interesting one, at Crazy Talks with Wise People. In this world where confusion and fear seem to be prevalent, it is necessary for each of us to utilize wisdom. Wisdom is a combination of knowledge, evaluated experience, and intuition. The first two are soulish components, while intuition is a spiritual component. While knowledge and evaluated experience can be easily learned, intuition is a little bit more challenging to acquire and learn and practice. For this reason, I invited one of the experts in the development of intuition. Her name is Amethyst Gray. Now I'm going to tell you who she is. Okay, you might be intrigued. Well, Amethyst Gray was born on the Isle of Wight, England, and grew up close to Carisbrooke Castle. The island, Arthur Clarke's Mysterious World on TV, fossils on the beach, and crystals gave her a keen interest in history, hidden history, and how everything came about. She was also good at mathematics. That's what I heard. And well, of course, she's got a career that has something to do with maths. So she ended up taking physics degree at the University of London. That led her to a career in IT before rediscovering her interest in crystals, alternative history, and energy healing after moving to Wiltshire in the early 2010s. Now, as well as being accomplished in IT, Amethyst teaches Angelic Reiki, practices access bars, future life progression, and past life regression in the vicinity of Avebury, Stonehenge. She has given lectures on Atlantis, very interesting, and is in the process of publishing her Diana Garry book series. The Huntress was released in August 2019, focusing upon Renaissance France, and The Priestess, based upon Atlantis, was published in March 2020. The Heiress, slated for later in the 2020s, with insights into survivors of Titanic disaster. Oh my goodness, this is really interesting. Heiress, very interesting. Amethyst. Let's all welcome Amethyst, please. Okay. All right, Amethyst, your floor.
Hello, thank you. Well, no, thank you very much for the introduction there. So yes, I've been interested in all the sort of esoteric knowledge and been researching that past lives, which are in the novel series, and more recently been writing a series on the pyramids that also includes meditation and intuition in and around the pyramids and connecting with them. So that I think that's what I'm here to talk about today is the intuition side of connecting with the pyramids and how you can kind of make use of that to I guess help find your truth and also not to be living in fear. So hopefully that will be useful.
Yes, and I'm sure you will be able to shed light to us about how to discern real intuition or not, because most of us have this kind of hunch, but we're kind of confused, or we're not sure whether this hunch is real or not, you see. So let's now dive into your book. I've read your book and I found it very, very enlightening. In fact, one of the meditations here, I used it a week ago and I think it was useful for me and it was beneficial to my spiritual let's say growth. And that's why I got fascinated, and I wanted you to come and speak to our friends out there. So tell us about your book, The Little Book of Pyramid Intuition. What is it
Yeah.
about?
Okay, well, the Little Book of Pyramid Intuition is it's the third book in the Pyramid series. The first one being the book where I actually kind of go into the history of pyramids, and you find pyramids everywhere. I mean, possibly the biggest and the oldest pyramid is over in Indonesia now, Ulam Padang.
Oh.
I'm not very good at remembering the exact name, but it's on the main island of Java, I believe, in Indonesia. So yeah, but I mean, most people think of the Great Pyramid in Giza in Egypt, and that's the traditional one. But there are other forms of them. But the first book was demonstrated how you could actually make your own meditation pyramids, and then the other books in the series kind of build on that. So you can even make use of the pyramid that you've built, and it's very easy to make. There's steps in the book. You can make your own quite easily and quite cheaply, because to buy a pyramid or is something that can be quite expensive. So the other two books build on that. The second book in the series was The Little Book of Pyramid Meditation, and that's proved, probably of the series, that's proved the most popular, because people love to connect to pyramids and meditate. But the third in the series is the Little Book of Pyramid Intuition, which builds further on that, and to delve into your intuitive knowledge. The fourth book that we're writing at the moment, and will be published in about a month's time, is going to be the Little Book of Pyramid Healing, which again will be healing in and around the pyramid. But sticking to intuition for now, we've got you can see there's a lot of Egyptian kind of connections here, and I've got my Ankh on, because ancient Egypt is fantastic, the knowledge from there, and there's I have a co-writer with the Pyramid series, Steve Nichols, and hopefully you'll be able to chat with him at some point as well, because he's a very interesting character. But intuition is, we get in the book, we go into details as to where it's kind of housed, in a sense, because we have the Eye of Ra, the Eye of Horus. It is in, it's inside. It's the pineal gland, and if you actually were to dissect the pineal gland, it actually looks like the cross section of it, if you cut it from front to back, looks just like the Eye of Ra. Yeah,
and that's what's commonly called, common language, it's called a third eye.
Well, the third eye is kind of the front part of it, but the pineal gland is actually inside the brain. It's called pineal because it looks a little bit like a pineapple from the outside. But if you cut it in half, it just basically looks like the Eye of Ra. And that's in esoteric knowledge, that's said to be the seat of your intuition. Inside there, and it's important to make sure that you look after it, and things like fluoridated water can actually affect it and calcify it, whereas meditation and good drinking good water, that's pure water, and good food helps to decalcify it, so that your intuition is properly working. But we go through some exercises of that in the book, and also the history of intuition.
Yes,
but
very important. Yes.
definitely. But I think one of the most important things is how to tune into your intuition, and that's really, you know, the key thing, because you know, you need to tune into it. But if you're living in fear, or you're fearful of something, or you're worried about something, then you can't really tune into your intuition, because intuition is very much in tune with you know, love and higher vibrations, and you can only really be in tune with the love and higher vibrations if you're at ease.
Let me just cut you first, because some of our, you know, listeners might not know about all these, like high vibration. What is the difference between, you know, like high vibration and low vibration?
Okay, right. So if you're very happy and you feel light, then you're working at a higher vibration, and you're able to tune into, you know, and enjoy things like classical music. You know, you feel up and hot, and you know, high on a high, and you're able to connect with like-minded people who also have that similar high vibration. You know, whereas if you're living in fear and you're unhappy, you're down, you feel heavy, you feel dark, and that's a low vibration. I mean, you do need to be grounded rather than just always living in the clouds, but you want to not be, you know, at a low vibration where you kind of, you attract negative things, you know, and bad things happen, you know, and you think, oh, it's so bad. So that's what we talk about, vibrations.
Okay, so we can we can develop our intuition by always connecting to our higher vibrational beings.
Yes.
All right, so share with us some of the proven techniques on how to develop intuition, please.
Okay, well, I mean, the first, I think the important thing is to do the groundwork and actually, you know, give time to yourself to, you know, unwind and meditate and relax, because the world is so busy. There's so many things around that can distract you from that. You need to kind of tune into yourself first. And once you have a sense of ease, then you can kind of get into the intuition. And there's in the book we actually refer to Frank Herbert's book Dune, which is a science fiction novel. It was also released. The first part was released as a movie last year. And in that, the main person in it actually is trained in a technique of basically facing your fears and letting them go over you, so that you're just the one that's left. So there are you can basically you can get rid of fear to be able to move past that and into a state where you can you use your intuition by using kind of invocations and phrases, you know, to actually just face the fear and let it go through you, because most of our fears are irrational and don't really happen. We worry more about things, and you know, a very small percentage of our actual fears actually come to pass. And yet we're living in that fear the whole time. So if you can clear the fear, that's the first step. Second step. First step, clearing the fear. Second step is to get yourself relaxed and at ease. You've probably heard of the illness and dis-ease, because disease is dis-ease. It's when you're not at ease. So being at ease is an important step. And once you're at ease, you can be more yourself. And when you're relaxed and at ease, intuition comes to you more naturally. And you can, if you sort of just think about things, but not intently think about things, just let the thoughts go through your head, you can actually get intuitive thoughts. You just kind of know that something's right, and you have a feeling about it. And this it can manifest itself in many ways, just naturally when you're at ease. And sometimes it can also be a defense mechanism. For example, it's not widely known or reported, but when there's a disaster on, say, a ferry that sinks or an airliner that crashes, you actually find that less passengers have turned up on that specific day for that specific flight or journey, because some people have tuned into the fact that it's going to sink or crash on that day, and so they've actually, their intuition has kicked in subconsciously and meant that they've maybe missed the flight, they've missed the ferry, or they're not feeling well and they have to ring in, that sort of thing. And that's so that's one way that it can kick in to kind of help you. But sometimes it also can be that you assess a situation and then something seems right and something seems wrong. It's very true that women tend to be more in tune with their intuition generally.
Yes.
But everyone has the ability to tune into their intuition. It's just a matter of setting the intent and kind of being yourself and relaxing. And I think it's probably more the case that I don't know, I guess it's a society thing that that men probably don't actually listen to little voices in their head. Sometimes they're more kind of like looking at things and trying to to do everything using knowledge, and if you can see it or cut it, then it exists, and if you can't, it doesn't. Whereas I think women tend to be more abstract in that, and they're more easily able to tune into it. But it obviously varies, and that just tends to be more the case. It's like anything else that some of the most intuitive people can be men, or like otherwise.
Your co-author, right? Like your co-author.
Well, that's right. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. He's a very, very interesting guy. So yeah, I hope you get to interview him later on as well.
Yes. Well, let me add to that. I've read that intuition is more akin to giving birth, because mothers are given this gift because when they give birth, they'll be communicating with a baby who cannot speak. So they'll be communicating with a baby using their intuition. I've read that a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. It's also the case that the women tend to be more, they're more, touchy-feely with people. They bond easier because of bonding with the child, whereas men are more wary of that because they tend to be the hunters and the protectors. So it's more on that side. But again, it's there's always exceptions, and there are some very emotional and sensitive guys as well. So but it's just generally It's more women and generally less men. But you know, that's not a hard and fast rule by any means.
I think intuition is both nature and nurture. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, hear it. Well, I've spoken about intuition, or in other religions they call it discernment, or in other religions they call it hunch or gut feel. Most of the problem is that they're not able to discern or determine the real voice, the real intuition between the false voice. And well, even your co-author shared his story, and he said like he failed to listen to his intuitive instincts, and so he met two accidents. Yeah. So now, how do we discern or determine the real voice from the not real voice?
I think it's a matter of practice. But I mean, by practice, I don't mean really trying. I mean practice. I mean kind of just letting things happen and kind of see how things feel. You know, you if you have. I mean, one of the things, your tummy, your stomach is a good barometer of these things, and you can have like butterflies in your tummy when there's something about to happen, and sometimes you need to do things, and sometimes you don't need to do things, and yes, if you don't listen to that, then bad things can happen, and it's kind of the same with following your life path, that you might want to do particular things, but everything gets in the way of doing that, because the universe tends to, oh God, depending on your obviously your beliefs, but it tends to be the case that you're given or you're prompted towards the things that you should be doing, and away from the things you shouldn't be doing. But the things you should be doing are not necessarily the same as the things you want to be doing. There's always temptations, and you might want a Big Mac, or you might want to go to a football match or whatever, but that isn't necessarily the thing you should do for your highest purpose, your life path. And you will find that if you don't listen to your voice, you'll get more and more blocks en route, and things will happen, and it'll just be harder and harder because you're not listening. You need to listen. And to a certain extent, I get that, because I know I probably should be doing more writing and less of my day job, but because I feel I need to be doing my day job, I carry on with that. But I've had horrendous problems and things in my day job, and everything's gone wrong at times simply because I probably shouldn't be doing that, or shouldn't be doing it so much. And you probably find that most people have found the same sort of thing. But if you're doing the right things, then everything is like, not quite everything, but some things are hinted at or laid out for you. For example, you mentioned that I now teach Angelic Reiki. Well, when I first came across Angelic Reiki, I just saw a poster for Angelic Reiki. And I sort of said to my daughter, oh, I like the sound of that. So we thought about doing it, but then kind of didn't think much more about it. But we went to a psychic circle, and there was a new lady had joined that evening, and she happened to be the lady who was teaching the Angelic Reiki. So basically, before we'd finished the evening, or towards the end of the evening, we'd actually arranged to go on the training course for Angelic Reiki, and that was the universe telling me that was the right thing to do. and also for writing, well, I had various hints about the books. The book, The Huntress, Past Life and Renaissance, I had images that came up when I was doing meditation that related to that lifetime, but I won't go into that detail now. But for The Priestess, which was my book on Atlantis, I actually again on another evening at the same psychic circle some years ago, a young lady turned up wearing a blue dress and a gold ankh, very much like this, and she basically looked exactly like I would have done, in my lifetime in Atlantis. And I was like blown away by that. I just knew that was the case because it resonated, that when things resonate together, that everything's kind of together and it just feels right. But when it doesn't, it kind of jars. It's like, no, it's just not quite right. But when things are right, they just resonate, and that's right. And things are easier on that path. And when you try not to follow that path, things become harder. So, it's life experience in a sense as well.
Yeah. So you were talking about synchronicity in, common word for that, I guess, is serendipity, which others would define it as a divine happenstance. So, yeah. So I would just like to tell our audience that, we may use different kinds of terminologies, but we are actually just anchoring on one, which is spirit. I mean, which is spirit. So, how often do you use your intuition, and how did it help you progress in life?
Okay, well, I guess it's sort of been subtle over, the whole of my life, really. But probably I've been more aware of it in recent years. Having, more of a kind of spiritual awakening, I don't know, probably sort of maybe about 10 or 11 years ago. So since then, I've become more and more aware of it. It's like coincidences, because most people have a coincidence and they don't think anything of it. But when you actually like realize that it's an intuitive thing, like a clue, then you actually note it. And when you note it, you're able to, kind of realize you're using intuition. So you can go, oh, I used my intuition there. I noticed that, and I did this, So coincidences. If you're familiar with the film The Matrix, then there's kind of, you get the glitches in the Matrix, and they noticed that something was about to happen by the glitches. So you could kind of look at synchronicities, coincidences, and you're knowing as the kind of glitches. And once you're aware of the glitches, it becomes easier to trust them and be aware of them. So that's the thing. And certainly, when I pressed the button to publish my first book, The Huntress, I kind of realised that I'd actually moved on to a specific life path. Whereas if I hadn't, like Sliding Doors, the film, it's that type of thing that by doing that, I'd moved onto a different path.
Oh, which is very interesting. I'm really very much interested in this topic. Well, not because we're okay, for our audience, we're not propagating something here, or we're not proselytizing you. We are just here to shed light into this realm called intuition. We might have many different kinds of beliefs, but one thing is that we all have this inner voice, and this is a gift for all of us to use for our own lives, and for us not to be derailed in all this noise around us. So it is really important for us to develop Intuition. Well, for those of you who would like to develop your intuition, Amethyst Gray is here. If you resonate with her, please contact her. We will be writing all the information available so that you'll be able to contact her. She's got a website. We will be putting her website down below. I mean, the website URL down below. We will be writing the titles of her books and where are those books available so that you'll be able to avail of her books. I like this one. I love history, like Amethyst. I love history. I like Egypt and the pyramids and the Atlantis and name it, everything that she mentioned in her book. But well, I'm not a spiritual advocate, and that's why I'm getting references here in our podcast. And so I would just like you to contact her, and so she'll be able to train you and shed light. Well, I, for one, Amethyst, I'd like to join your meditation and angelic Reiki because I'm actually using on my prayer time right now. I'm using these cards from Gray, and well, that seems like every time I ask my angel to give me an answer, the answer resonates with my question. And it's well, it's not the only tool that I use, but it's one of the tools that I use. And the angels and the universe or God, whatever you call it, can use all these tools. So we just should not just limit ourselves to one dimension, but to all the rest of the dimensions, because yeah, because just knowing one thing might not benefit us. So it's good to explore. Just for your exploration, just contact Amethyst Gray and she'll be able to help you out with it and see if you resonate with it. And okay, so parting words, because I really regret it because we only have 5 minutes more to go, but I'm sure that this has given you some enlightenment, and our audience, I'm sure that this has given you some enlightenment. And well, the fact is we only have 30 minutes, 5 minutes more to go. So let's listen to Amethyst Gray for some of her final words for both of us. Final words only for this particular podcast, but since she's got a lot of very interesting materials, we would like her to be our guest again here. So Amethyst, please.
Okay. So I mean, if you want to sort of start tuning into your intuition, then I'd definitely say don't worry about things. Try not to worry. I mean, obviously, some things we have to, but that's, because it's necessary. But for other things, just, try and relax and go with it. Things happen. And, if you relax, then you can be in a better place. And once you're in a better place, you can tune into your intuition and, so just take time for yourself, relax, don't rush everywhere all the time. I'm one of the worst for that. But if you can take a moment out, relax, and just, tune into everything around you, the beauty of nature, the sunshine, etc., tune into that and relax, drop your stress rates. And then your inner mind, your voice will start to sound louder, and you'll actually start getting some intuition through. But obviously make sure that it resonates with you, because your inner voice won't tell you to do dangerous things. It won't tell you to take risks. That's not what it does. That's kind of the false voice. Your real voice will be encouraging you to do to do things that are for your higher goods, and yes. That's kind of a difference. I mean, there are you know, there are things that there are experiences that you want to have, you know, and should be having for your, you know, your betterment, and for those of other things, and those tend to be positive. The negative things, you know, no, that's a false voice. And you know, discerning the difference is certainly one of the things you need to do. But if you're more relaxed and you're more at ease, then you should get your, you know, hear your real voice, and it'll say, why don't you go and visit your friends? You know, they've not been in a great place recently, and you always have a laugh when you're with them. That type of thing, you know, can come through. It's not, you know, you're not going to have something to harm yourself. That's not how it works. So, as I say, try and relax. That's a key thing. Get away from the fear. Get away from the worry, and tune into yourself. Make time for yourself, and then tune into the positive, you know, nudges that we get in life.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm so honored to have you as a guest. And to me, you're a very respectable person, because you've got all the three. You've got knowledge, and I'm sure that the evaluated experience and intuition, and that what makes, I mean, all those three factors make a person wise, and I'm sure you are. And thank you so much for your time. It is an honor to be with you today. Let me close with this quote found on page 17 of Amethyst's book, and it says, when you can watch a snowflake unmelt in your hand, or sense the lonely call of the gull, when you become the child of your mind, then you will truly know yourself. By Anubis S.P. Nichols. And well, there's a Bible verse which is very similar to this, and it says, like, unless you will become as a little child, then you cannot enter the kingdom of God. So there are parallelisms and everything. I'm not trying to preach here, but you know, I'm just trying to see all angles, so that I will not be ignorant, because ignorance is actually sometimes a pitfall for all of us. So once again, thank you so much, Amethyst, for joining. And